Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me in this next edition of our podcast. Today, we'll be talking about creating a digital first customer service center. Basically, how to make our customer service to attend to digital needs instead of being the old school contact center, right? Together with me today is Alvin Jackson, who is an expert on customer experience transformation and who has been delivering projects for many years in different industries successfully. And he brings a lot of his experience to the table. So we thought it'd be interesting to have a conversation with him and share his insights with us. Preparing for this podcast, we were reviewing the latest Forrester report on digital capabilities for customer experience. And they cite three challenges that organizations are facing now to turn their customer experience programs into digital first capabilities, right? So, but before we go into that, Alvin, can you tell us what are the challenges? What are the things that you're seeing organizations are facing these days to be able to improve their customer experience through creating digital capabilities?
I think we all know that consumer demands and consumer behaviours and consumer habits are changing faster than ever, and a lot of that is driven by technology. Where technology is what we use to run a large part of our lives, and I think today's consumer, particularly the younger demographic, need things to be faster and easier all the time. And also they want to exercise the choice about how they interact with brands that they deal with, rather than being forced to interact in a certain way by particular organizations. So I think these are the sort of key dynamics: faster, easier, and also we want the choice. We want to control our experience rather than the brand controlling it for us.
Yes, the need for speed of resolution and the customer's desire to control the relationship, to control the way they engage with brands is definitely driving this. I think also through COVID or the pandemic, the way brands and consumers engaged moved to a digital first space just by need, right? All of this has exacerbated the way we expect organizations to deliver their service. So these behaviors that were driven by a necessity, how and now they have become, the status quo. We all expect brands to stay relevant, to stay digital, to have the digital channels first, right? Um, and I think it's interesting because a lot of the things that happened before COVID, or the way operations were delivered before COVID, we always thought of, okay, we have digital happening simultaneously with the offline world. But now it's the opposite. Digital comes first, and customers want to, they engage with brands before brands even know customers have an interest for them in the digital space. So being able to communicate or being able to be digitally engaged with customers is extremely important, right? And that need is recognized. Forrester identifies three challenges that are organizations are facing in order to deliver on this. What are you seeing, Alvin? What are your thoughts? What are you seeing in practice in the organizations that you work with?
I think the first challenge that we've talked about is the high cost of an investment in technology change, and I think that puts a lot of companies off, because it's seen as a cost rather than an investment in a superior experience. So I think there's a hearts and minds campaign to be done there to see that this isn't a cost; it's a must-have, a must-do. And I think the other second one that I've talked about is the need for really clear leadership and accountability. And I think with that comes a clear vision of what the organization is trying to achieve and why, and clear governance around that, so that we can actually make sure that we're reaping the benefits of our investments. Those for me are key big challenges.
Yes, these projects are definitely transformational in their nature. They change the way organizations operate, mostly because the way the processes are designed are very much based on the capabilities of at a technological level, and the way the humans the employees use the technology is very much based on those capabilities, right? So it requires the organization to change beyond just implementing software. It also means people need to upskill, learn to engage with customers in a different at a different level, and learn how to implement and use the technologies that are out in the market. Right? The governance is probably the first thing that we see on projects that organizations lack, because the projects are tackled at a very tactical level, where they are isolated from a higher vision of the value they should be delivering. Um, so that instead of being seen as projects that can impact the customer experience, they are seen as technology projects. So they are lacking this governance to give the projects more meaning within the organization, right? So that's an area where we usually try to help customers to get it structured. The second one, like you mentioned, is the cost of change, right? And it's not only the technology change and the actual cost of licensing or software cost, it's also the cost of effort and time invested into driving the change in the organization. So that's really a cost that is often underestimated, and that through time we see that organizations lose momentum because they didn't account for that cost. There is another third challenge, which is, you know, we see that there's so much technology now, and the pace at which technology is innovating and the pace at which organizations are demanded to incorporate this technology into businesses in their operations um, is much faster than what organizations can assimilate. And that's because the organization is already working, and they have, you know, legacy applications or semi-modern applications with a lot of processes built onto them. And this makes it very complex for organizations to adopt new technology, especially at the speed that the market demands. Um, what do you see is working in these terms? How where are organizations being successful in trying to become digital first?
Yeah, and thanks. I think it's one of the themes in the report is about sort of meeting customers where they are and in their world rather than them coming to yours. So I think, but increasingly, what we're seeing firms do is engaging customers increasingly over message and chat. And I think when you get that right, customers like it because it's easier and faster. And also agents like it because they can actually multitask and have concurrent chats open. So it's very efficient and effective from an organizational point of view as well. So that's a big dynamic that we're seeing, is sort of using chat and messaging as a first channel of choice for many people.
Yeah, definitely. Chat is another channel that is becoming extremely um, commonly used in organizations of all types, B2B and B2C, right? The imperative is to be omni-channel. Organizations understand now that, you know, just using email is not enough, and that people have expectations, both from a customer experience perspective. People do expect for you to be available in different channels in different moments of the day. And from an employee experience, people don't want to work for companies that don't have modern technology, because that basically makes them work twice as hard, and they don't engage with customers, with the end consumer at the other side of the channel, because they don't have the tools to have a meaningful conversation with customers, right? So employee experience is becoming a huge element of implementing transformation and implementing better customer experience. So digital first doesn't only mean the customer will have the benefit of having a digital channel. It also means employees can have better tools to do their work, and more efficiently, more optimized, more effectively, so they can actually engage with customers in more meaningful conversations, using, you know, their human capabilities, right? Where are you seeing success in this regard? What things are you seeing that are working in brands that are implementing this?
Yeah, I think there's nothing worse than from our own experience in the past, Hideki, from having to sort of repeat your information either by typing it in again or repeating it to an agent, then I think companies who are getting that omni-channel and that context right are really nailing it now, because it just makes the experience so much more pleasant. In my own recent experience on projects, I've been working quite a lot in transport in the UK, which is quite an industry that's quite slow to change. But a lot of change has been forced upon it by the pandemic and the lockdown. And now I'm seeing the introduction of new communication channels so that we can interact with brands through chat. We can respond to feedback requests through chat and other channels, whether it's SMS or Facebook or social media. And also now we're seeing more and more electronic ticketing being introduced in the way that the airline industry did a long time ago. The railway industry, for example, in the UK is responding to demand and giving people the ability to put their ticket on their telephone in their wallet, because that's where most people run their lives from these days, and we've got to match it.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Alvin. We see that organizations need to match uh, their capabilities with consumerization trends. In other words, what customers are expecting and what brands are able to deliver. Um, the use of different channels in the different stages of the engagement with customers um, require the right type of technologies, and these technologies are often more complex to implement than initially thought through, but it's part of the process of adapting to an ever-changing market, right? A market that where digital has become the first thing that customers expect. So things like conversational messaging, things like implementing a WhatsApp or chatbots or um, a knowledge-based, semi-automated process. These are becoming standard expectations from customers. Another thing that we see that is driving the the building of the capabilities is intelligent automation. And it's not just RPA, robotic process automation, it's the full delivery of intelligent automation, which combines the data, the systems that contain the data, along with the process to drive processes from beginning to end, fully delivered by automation tools without the intervention of humans, right? So things like machine learning are helping organizations scale up quickly. So low value tasks can be delivered by the machines, and the high value tasks or the more engaging conversations can be delivered by humans. Um, yeah, that's definitely another area where we're seeing organizations are optimizing to be digital first. So, in order to turn customer service into a digital first capability, it's very important for organizations to understand the what technology is able to do and how it interconnects and how to build these architectures that deliver on the long term outcome of customer experience. But for that, you need governance and you need direction and strategy. So creating those frameworks are really, really important. So organizations can not only deliver on one tactical project, but deliver on the business outcome that they are looking for. In this case, better employee experience, because that has an impact on the bottom line, right? I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much, Alvin, for sharing your insights and your knowledge. If everyone wants to connect with Alvin, we're tagging him on this content, so feel free to connect with him on LinkedIn. And please share if you found the content interesting. Thank you very much, and see you on the next podcast.
Thanks, Hideki, and thank you everybody for watching.